Alright, so how y'all doing, boys? Hope you're doing well. Now in today's video we finally have here the guide for stages 1, 2 and 3 of the deer. I know I'm extremely late to this, but it's kind of just something that I've been meaning to get around, and I finally had the time to get around and do it. So starting off here, I am going to say, do not feel disappointed if you can't actually go ahead and beat even stage 1. From stage 1, 2 and 4, 3 all being pretty much the same thing. It is just an RNG fest almost the entire way through, and if you don't have pretty much almost the exact same team as I'm running here, there is another team you can use with Scardy, but let's face it, how many people actually summoned and built out like a Scardy? This is very end game content and a huge jump from what is the difficulty of the bird. I mean, with the fact now that we have Magilda and her Holy Relic, the bird is a little bit of a cakewalk, that's for sure, but in this team here, you can go ahead and actually replace the Matrona with the Festival DN. I would say just the regeneration Matrona has at the end of each turn, and with the 3-turn on the 3-turn taunt on the level 1, definitely helps her case a lot, but pretty much the Meliodas, Matrona, and Escanor are must-have, and the Arthur can be changed out for a couple units. You can use the Arthur, of course. You can either use Arthur, Brunhald, or the Green Valentine's Day Molescula. I would say it is really up to you. I definitely prefer the Arthur just because he has the double attack cards. Some people would say the Valentine's Day Molescula just because of her passive and the fact that she has a shield is good, but if you draw the shield, obviously you can't cycle through that kind of, you know, the turn 2 and turn 4 phases without it being an actual attack card. So I will go ahead and go onto this next page here. For the actual artifact set, I am using the damage reduction set. That is the one from the Halloween, the 3-piece set. So if you've missed out on that one, I would say the other best set to use is probably, or actually definitely, I would say probably the best set to use is actually the Demonic Beast set by getting the actual Hasvalga card and the 10,000 coin card of the Margaret. It's the extra like single target damage per, you know, extra single target damage for Demonic Beast battles. So would definitely recommend using that. I feel a whole lot more safe using the actual damage reduction set. When it comes to gear sets, the Arthur is on HP defense, Escanor attack crit, Matrona HP defense, and melee attack crit. So let's jump right into it. I did actually initially plan on going for like perfect passives throughout the entire run, but I later on went ahead and was like, scrap that, I'm resetting way too many times, so we can work with some okay passives. I'll just go ahead and kind of explain what kind of passives are the best, and we do actually end up getting perfect passives in this first one. The phase 2, you are guaranteed the same passive each time, so it is what it is. I will be starting with that starting hand pretty much every time when it comes to like any of these floors, just because getting the taunt up turn 1, and obviously you want to be trying to max out the second part of the melee passive, which is using the double single targets for the extra damage reduction. Once you get that up and going, you are pretty much set. Once it's maxed out, don't get me wrong, you can still die. It is doable. This deer just does such an insane amount of damage, but you should be alright. Ideally in this first phase, we are wanting to kind of merge Escanor cards, rush his ultimate for the second phase, because that is when we're going to have to cycle through the wheel. And I mean, where the characters are doesn't really matter a whole bunch, but the only reason why I have them the way it is because if I use the Matrona card, next on the wheel, if you look in the top right, is the green affinity and then the blue affinity. So you can pretty much just look at the characters in the order they are here. If I use an Escanor card, then it goes back around to Matrona and then to Arthur. And like I said previously in the video, unfortunately can't cycle through his actual phases with cards that don't attack, or even if they get patience, they still won't affect. So you do have to actually deal damage. I've had some times where the Arthur AoE just isn't strong enough, and then we got cocked and ended up losing that one. But as you'll see in some of these early phases, we do end up taking quite a bit of damage. On like the turn 1, 2, 3, once it gets to 4 and 5, you will be alright. The recovery around some of these units, like you finish some of the turns and are just amazed by how much you get back. But this actual first floor was an extremely lucky run. Like I was actually so impressed by just how lucky the run was here. There we go. This one here, the same passive. This one is 100%. Basically, every time you use a rank up, the doubles all of its stats, I believe. So I mean, you can go ahead and still use Halloween Gothar. You do kind of want to rank up at the end of the turn where, you know, that isn't going to affect you at all. I do go ahead and start the cycle. This is actually one where you don't have to go through the cycle before you can do damage. You'll see what I'm talking about later on in the video, but you can just go ahead and straight up use the Escanor ultimate right off the bat, but we end up getting the double crit. Almost 2 mil attack stat there from Escanor, so cycling through that one nice and easily. That passive there is the ideal passive. It is the extra 2 additional ultimate gauge at the beginning of the turn. So don't really have to worry about it. Definitely one of the weaker passives, that's for sure. I do actually have it here. So other than that, you ideally want the ultimate gauge passive. Other than that, there is another passive you can get: decrease the damage this hero takes from enemies by 30%. It is still doable with that passive. It is still a very, very good passive. However, if you get the armor destruction passive, it's the little purple eye, it's pretty much a reset at that point. It's going to make it so difficult for you to actually complete things in that third and final floor that it is just not worth going through the hassle. I would say it's a hard reset. If you can actually manage to beat that third floor with the armor destruction passive, I'm honestly just so insanely impressed. This third floor, we are pretty much just kind of, this third phase, we are pretty much just kind of trying to build up ultimates. You know, usually this third phase on all of the 3 floors is a little bit tankier just so you can build yourself up. And especially on the third actual floor, you'll see we spend ages and ages and ages in this third phase on like a slither of HP just so we can kind of get the perfect card RNG in order to push us into that next phase. But as you can see now, Return is tanking. Pretty much everyone's taken 0 damage. Roll at max HP. The D rank, or the of the cards there, and the remove of ultimate gauge is very annoying, but we are still able to kind of work our way up to what we want again. I do actually spend quite a bit of time actually doing and selecting these cards, so probably should have actually, as you can tell, this is a pre-recording. I did go ahead and prop these all up together because it just takes so much time. I'd love to actually do a live commentary of the Deer raid, but sometimes you can just get so unlucky, and I actually do quite a few resets in these actual runs, so there is quite a bit of back and forth, and you do have to re-enter in the password because I am playing on PC, of course, a couple times, so there is that, and it's a bit of a hassle. It's it is what it is, but we should be able to finish off with, I believe we'll use the melee ultimate here, unless I actually want to go ahead and use that first in the next phase. Not using the Arthur ultimate, okay. Granted, you really just don't want it. The second you get bad card RNG, you can be having just a flawless run, you just don't draw a Matrona single target card for 2 turns, and that's pretty much your entire run over. And there's not a whole lot you can do about it, so it is unfortunate. I mean, it's so card RNG based. We really need to get, and I doubt this will be anytime soon, but a Ragnarok character that actually makes these events harder, because not harder. A Ragnarok character that actually makes these events easier, because we aren't going to get just a regular 7 Deadly Sins characters. These are, of course, all Ragnarok bosses, and that's why Magelda is so based around the boss. She is, the whole reason why, the bird is so easy nowadays, and most of it is due to her Holy Relic. It helps out a whole ton. It's, like I said earlier, it makes an absolute cakewalk, but we will eventually get a character. Same thing for this D, he'll probably then get a Holy Relic, then just makes it so we can stomp through this, because at the moment, it can just be such a hassle going through this every week. But as you can see here, we do have this grey buff in the top of the screen. Basically makes it to where he takes 0 damage until... Never mind, I was completely wrong. Okay, I'm guessing that's just a max HP buff. It might be in the second phase, or second floor, sorry, when he actually starts getting that one, but probably just going to be... Oh, never mind, yeah. Like I said, the second and fourth phase in this was so easy, quick, and just clean with the Escanor ultimates. They really, really helped out a ton. Not too bad rewards there. You are mainly, of course, wanting those purple vases, or vases, however you want to pronounce it, but onto the second floor. This is definitely where I honestly struggled so hard with this second floor. It actually amazing. I spent, I'd say, probably a couple hours trying to get through this one, and I think the third floor, I almost got an easy first completion right off the bat, but like I said, just not drawing Matrona single target cards for 2 turns in a row, and I just ended up losing the whole thing. I got the third floor on the 3rd attempt, so pretty easy. The attempts definitely are a little bit longer, but I don't know, man. There's just something about this second floor that is so difficult. It is such a big jump from that first floor. Once again, really trying to get the passives right. I think it's this first phase where on turn 2 or turn 3, the deer gets a buff, and if you either don't kill the deer or remove the actual buff from the deer, you will actually go ahead and just get one-tapped by this AoE card. I have so many attempts where I just lose to that. Just not paying much attention. Man, this actually took so much longer to record than expected, and my first actual attempts on the deer when initially released were so easy. Finish floor 1, first attempt, finish floor 2, first or second attempt, and then floor 3 was pretty quick as well. It wasn't nothing insane. Definitely should have held that buff removal card there for another turn. I'm guessing I'm just holding onto the extra Escanor single target just so I can maybe merge and get the ultimate if need be, but After this turn here, we should see the actual buff apply on the deer. Really hoping we actually do get some more units, because like at this point in the game, I don't really like content that is like super make or break when it comes to units. Like I like being able to explore around, and like that's half the reason why I don't like the current, or like should I say the new version of Tower of Trials as much, because like it's hard to have your entire like box just built out every character, and if you don't have that in Tower of Trials, like you can't do most of the stages. So I mean, Escanor is just such a powerful unit for this. As you saw, pretty much cleared the first phase, or first floor, sorry, entirely due to the fact that we had his ultimate. And like the second half of Melee's passive completely saves you. Damage reduction on Arthur definitely helps, and Halloween Matrona has just proven to be such a powerful PvE character. But that first passive there that we got, I don't actually end up bringing it up on the screen, but when it comes to the passives in the floor 2 phase 2, the best one you want, where I try to remember, is just the 2%. There is one that increases HP related stats by 2% at the start of ally's turn if the heroes take damage, up to 10 times, sorry. So that's an extra 20% after 10 turns. That is ideal best case scenario. Other than that, we did get the defense one, so increased defense related stats by 30% when surviving an ultimate move. Definitely still good, definitely still doable. But the final passive, which is applies an effect on the hero, which increases max HP by 15% at the start of battle. It's doable, a little more doable than the armor destruction one, but the HP increase is still, I would go ahead and say, just restart. Like, it's only phase 2, you can pretty much cycle through those pretty quickly. This is where, like, kind of I was, you know, getting tired of actually resetting and, you know, going for those perfect rolls, just because it was taking too long to, you know, get the 2% HP one, and then on the final phase, getting that attack increase one, which is also the other ideal one. Also, you could obviously tell I was circling it in the recording, but how disappointed I was in the fact that they just survived on a slither of HP. You need to be able to do so much damage on this deer, and I don't actually think any of these are damage capped as well, so next week when it actually rolls back around, I might give the Demonic Beast battle set a try, and, you know, keep guys on updated if that one's actually a whole lot better than this one here. But once again, with the grey buff in the top left hand corner, the HP stat increase, like the max HP increase, you'll see this phase takes forever to go through, and once again, pretty much just trying to save cards up and like get everything set up for that fourth and final phase. Unlike the bird has so much like variety in each and every one of its floors, to the point where like you really need to play around to the floor you're in and, like, you know, think about what the next one is. This is pretty much just the same thing, but, you know, you gain the passives over time, which is so important that you reset for them. And obviously there is the factor that, you know, you are going to have to get like the perfect wheel effect in the top right hand corner here, or otherwise you just lose. So it is what it is. I am probably going to take quite a little while to get through these here. Yeah, I really wish I could do like a live commentary, and I probably will end up doing one, especially maybe a little later into the day. Maybe if we get like another unit that helps out just a little bit more with kind of everything. It's just way too difficult. I get stressed with the deer as well. It's such a pain. And, you know, you can of course use the melee cards in the phase 2 and phase 4s before you actually start the wheel cycle, if it isn't those ones where, you know, you get the damage locked to 1 damage before you do a whole cycle of the wheel. I'll show you, I believe it will come up in this 4th phase, but you can use these single target cards first because you haven't actually started the cycle, and you can still get away with it. So definitely something to look out for there. If you can like save some single target cards, helps out a bunch. Here we go, Melee's starting to do some melee damage. Still, by the way, just the greatest unit in the game. I know I say him and King are both tied, but I don't know, I'm all for melee, man. I'm all for melee. Matrona's still tanking really well here, even without the buff. Is that the ultimate remove? No, that's recovery disable. Okay. In the 4th phase of the 3rd floor as well, it's just another one where you have to get so set up, it's absurd. We should be able to finish this one off here, throwing out the double AoE cards. The AoE card for melee doesn't really have much place in the run. If you could ideally just have like 2 single target cards, that'd be a whole lot better. I usually just try and use them to like finish off phases, or to kind of just like use as like merge cards to rush ultimates and whatnot. But here we go, onto the final phase of the 4th floor. And there we go, that is our ideal passive there, the damage increase. So only thing about this 4th floor is there's 3 passives, and only one of them is doable, but is also insanely good. The attack passive we got there increases the hero's attack by 50% at the start of the next turn if the hero doesn't take damage, and that is of course talking about the deer. So you're obviously going to be dealing damage every single turn, so it's basically just like not having a passive at all for the deer, which helps out a whole bunch. Other than that, the other two passives are Revive, which is just an instant restart. Basically, every time you kill him on each phase, the deer revives with an extra 10% HP. Just terrible, you can't live with that. And then the other one is decreases your ultimate move gauge by 2 orbs every time the hero enters battle. So every single phase, you're losing 2 ultimate gauge, which you can't start off phases with ultimates, which is like the most important part of this activity. So that one there, yes, very, very important that you do reset in order to actually get the correct passives. I do show up there, yeah. Circling, no. Attack increase, yes. Thank you, Vlad, for showing me that one. But no, here we go, get the EIKTHYRNIR ultimate here. At that point, this should be GG's. I don't know if I actually do any resets here in order to like maximize damage and make sure I get the kill, but I should be able to get this one done pretty easily. Hopefully not going into the next phase with too low HP. Sometimes you can finish the second phase and have like really good passives, or should I say the second floor, but just the fact that you've taken so much damage, you take a lot of damage in the first, I think it's the second turn deer gets ultimate on that third one. Don't even get to the point where we use the melee single target, so drawing the smiley face there. Not too bad, did definitely take a lot longer than I would have liked it to, that second floor. As you can see, yeah, Matrona's lost a little bit more HP than I would have liked her to. Okay, I'm actually going to go ahead, getting into this first one. This is, yeah, going to be a majority of the video, this third one. Pretty much that portion there is just going to be me resetting on that third floor. And actually taking a look at the recordings, I didn't even realize I did not do the reset passive once in this third and final attempt, so that's honestly super rare for me as well. I guess I was just really confident in the damage. The revival is definitely something you need to watch out for. I do think it can happen more than once. I might be mistaken there, but like, even if you do proc the revive on the final phase, it is an instant reset. There's not much you can do. Like, going through all that HP again is just way too difficult. And the fact that like, after the 4 turns, he gets the taunt up and everything, like, you basically can't win at that point, or it's pretty much impossible. Like, you attack into the deer counters you, and you just die. So yeah, as you can see, opening up here, taking quite a bit of damage on the Matrona. Same thing as we've been doing in this first and second floor. When it comes to passives in this third floor, however, there isn't anything you really need to worry about. Obviously, there is like a best passive for both of the phases 2 and 4, but none of them are really too bad. The first one, you ideally want to be getting the crit damage increases the hero's crit damage by 50%. So once again, all the other ones, there's like a other crit damage increase one. Nothing really too bad. It's only a little worse than the first one. There's an attack related stat increase and then a crit chance, crit damage increase. They're all really good and really doable passives, which definitely helps out with the difficulty of this third and final floor. But getting into the fourth and final phase as well, there is the best passive, which will be the applies 4 ignite effects on all enemies when assuming a stance. That is the passive we end up getting in this run. I was super happy with that one. The other 2 passives are an attack increase and enemy max HP decrease. Once again, obviously want the ignite one, but should be alright. We're kind of just working through it. There's not really much to say when actually explaining the deer raid. As long as you guys know how the actual raid works, and like, as long as you know how the first floor works, you can just apply all those rules to every single phase. As you can see, we get real low on this one. And it's so crazy to think, like, I have all of these characters, like max costumes, pretty much all 15% rolls. Like, you can definitely get like a little more maxed out, but like, there isn't much more CC to gain than what I have on my team here. So definitely do not feel disappointed if you can't actually go ahead and do this. It's going to be here for quite a while, and none of the actual fairy holy relics have been must-haves at this point in time. Like, you can get the holy relic for Elizabeth, nothing too crazy. Elizabeth is fodder anyways, and just not a fun unit by any means. So why are people still using Goddess Liz? I'll say that a million times over. Let's see what I go for here. Yeah, using the melee single targets first. Just because we haven't started the cycle, you'll see we can actually throw these out and get a decent amount of damage as well. If we could double crit in this second card, or no crits, either, I'm perfectly happy with that. Using the EIKTHYRNIR ultimate there, and the Matrona just shy of killing. That's okay. You do get the 2 turns on this one as well before he actually goes in that third turn and becomes a little bit harder to kill. But yeah, no, do let me know if you guys would like to see more commentary or like just videos like this. I did of course do the Diane video where, you know, went through all the bird phases. Diane is an absolutely amazing unit for the kind of bird raid. I would say she's probably going to be a little bit more effective in bird than she is in deer. But you just have to take so much more damage in the deer raid, and the recovery rate on Matrona and the extra like resistance she gets, the lower her HP is, helps her out so much. It is so crazy. Also, is that me failing the actual cycle? I didn't even realize that until now. Oh, well, yeah, there's a huge misplay and I still end up doing it. But yeah, no, the fact that you can build up a passive by taking the damage, you do see in that run where like on the 3rd floor of the bird, I throw out some of her single target cards and she can like, she was doing decent damage as well. It's like 80,000 or something like that, which is like, there was even attacks where like melee's level 1s weren't actually breaking the damage cap. So yeah, Dan's still super, super useful. You can of course get the Halloween Matrona for free now via the ticket summon. So you do obviously have to wait until like the end of the login bonus to actually get to that guaranteed milestone. But I mean, free Halloween Matrona, she is, I would say easily in like top 5 PvE units in the game. Also put alongside like the Arthur we're using here, Escanor, Trader Meliodas, and I don't know who else you'd really want to put in those top 5, but I mean, pretty much like, yeah, all of these units here are like such good staples. And like, the DST for this was actually found super, super fast on the actual release of the day. I believe it was found like within the first week, people were already beating this 3rd and final floor, which is absolutely crazy. It took ages for people to be able to like, not even like comfortably be able to defeat the bird. I'm just surprised, like, we will definitely get another one of these like demonic beasts. I doubt we'll get a 4, maybe, who knows. The next one will obviously be for kind of like demons. Maybe we'll get another one for archangels, or they'll kind of just like sprinkle them all in together. We have actually had leaks for a Ludociel Holy Relic, so hopefully that makes him viable again. I'm really hoping it just gives him an insurmountable amount of CC to kind of help out his passive, because if you guys don't know, that Ludociel is by far one of my favorite units in the game. Here is a quick tip for this one though. You obviously need to have Escanor and the Escanor Ultimate and an Escanor single target card ready for the 4th phase. That is the most important thing. Obviously as well with like an Arthur and Matrona attack card to actually do your cycle, but you can 100% waste the Meliodas Ultimate here in order to get through the phase, because it is a lot of health in this 3rd phase, and like ideally you do want to have a single target as well for him, but this is one of those ones where even though the cycle is up, you won't get punished necessarily for actually attacking in with the wrong card. Some of the other phases, you know, you get attack disabled, they end your turn, like your whole team gets an corrosion effect applied to you. Stuff like that can be dodged in this one here, which helps out so much. Yeah, these next couple turns is going to be just like me moving around this Meliodas card, waiting and waiting and waiting until we get the level 3. It's going to be for quite a bit here. Where's my cursor? Yeah, we can kind of skip. Look, terrible card RNG with the Arthur cards. We move around again. Terrible card RNG, we move around again. And then we finally go ahead to this turn here where we get the ultimate. The Deer's on a slither of HP anyway. We can kill him off there. And then we're, like, at this point in the run, we're going so well. Everything is perfectly prepped. But if we do not get a Matrona single target card in this next turn, we just lose. Like, we've spent all this time. Granted, it's not like the full bar there because we've done the 1st floor and the 2nd floor, but we have gone so far. Here's me circling the passive because I'm happy that we got the right one. But yeah, look, right at the end there, if that card just wasn't the single target card that we got, we would have lost, and I would probably still be doing this. Or actually, probably not still, this is like an hour or 2 afterwards, but hey, look. Here it is though, the damage cap where, you know, you have to cycle through the whole thing once. Once that's done, he does remove the, I'm gonna actually go ahead and zoom back a little bit. That little gray buff, should I say, there. Once you've gone ahead and gone through this full cycle, that removes, and you can do damage with the ultimates. Throwing out the Escanor Ultimate there. Only reason why you do have to do that Escanor Ultimate turn 1 is because in this next turn here, you will see it. I do believe it'll be the first attack he does. Removes 2 ultimate gauge. Oh, 1 ultimate gauge. Still, it removes ultimate gauge from your heroes, so can't do any ulting on the 2nd, 3rd, 4th, any turns from here on out. And with the amount of HP he's lost here, I mean, this is pretty much game. I throw up the Matrona taunt just because, but throwing out these cards is like where you'll actually see that, like, you know, I can use the Meliodas single target card. Nothing happens to me. I can use the Escanor single target card just above that HP, like the revival mark. So we go ahead, we throw out the ultimate there, and a lot easier of a win than we'd had on that 2nd floor. So there it is, a full Deer Guard. Of course, if you guys do have any questions, I will of course be more than happy to help, whether that's like team build. Like I said, you can't really do like a whole lot when it comes to team building for this activity. It is such endgame content at this point in the game. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this video. Hope this helped you out. Please hit the like button, subscribe. Really means a lot to me, and I'll see you guys for some more Grand Cross content.